looks easy. Caleb Williams, and you and I have discussed this, he's obviously a great thrower just as a natural thrower of the football. It comes out really, really well. But I would say at this point that in the pocket, he's not overly comfortable. He's a little quick to move. Sometimes he creates his own pressure by how he moves. The O-line has been very up and down, but he's certainly not at the point in his career, and you never know if this will happen. He's certainly not at the point in his career where he can compensate for or camouflage for some O-line concerns. So in some ways, he makes them worse. Yeah. So it's hard to make a definitive statement right now because Williams is very gifted. But right now, there's no question that when you watch the tape, you just see a better, more comfortable player when you watch Jaden Daniels.
Okay. So I really, really want to talk about this because I think what Greg Cosell said is so perfect and highlights why situation and coaching can matter so much and why it's not like an automatic indictment on Caleb Williams, that he hasn't been able to overcome this. Now, he does give the caveat that he says, listen, you may never show to be able to be comfortable or overcome, right, a bad O-line and kind of camouflage some of those things. And in a lot of ways, that's what CJ Stroud has shown to be able to do throughout the season. Ultimately the dam broke against the Jets, but throughout the season, he has been able to kind of overcome that, which is the argument that I had been making in service of CJ Stroud. But that doesn't mean that Caleb Williams, on the other hand, should be ripped, right? There's this whole idea of like, listen, you said, not me, I just mean in general, that he was supposed to be this transcendent, generational, once in a lifetime player. If that's the case, he should be able to overcome any of these things. If he was that special, he should be able to. And it's just not true, right? It's just not accurate. For all we know, Caleb Williams is this type of quarterback. And again, I'm not saying that this is, but let's just say this is true. Caleb Williams may be one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, could be absolutely dominant, can own it, can play at such insane high levels that we've just never seen. But he absolutely needs a great O-line. He cannot, for whatever reason, the way his mind works, the way how he kind of panics, the way he moves, he needs an O-line. He needs time in the pocket. You give him time in the pocket, you let him get comfortable, he will be able to make magic. But in other circumstances, he just can't. He just can't, and he implodes. It's his Achilles heel, right? That may be a real thing. That could, without a doubt, be a real thing. There's other more, and this is more traditional with pocket quarterbacks, right? Especially in years past, right? Don't give them an O-line, force them to kind of move out of the pocket and move around. They crumble. Give them a great pocket. They can pick you apart. They can be elite playmakers in the pocket. Now, we know Caleb can go off script and can move all around. So the comparison isn't directly perfect, right? I'm just trying to use a clear example as to people have different skill sets. They have different things that make them special, right? Some people, what makes them special is that they're a great listener. Honestly, they can listen and make you feel validated and make you feel really heard. There's other people that make you feel special because they make you laugh, man. Anytime you're with them, man, they just know how to make you feel good. You're happy, you're laughing, right? They might not always be there to validate your feelings and opinions and stuff like that, but man, they're just a good dude, and you just know when you're with them, man, it's a good time, right? You have other people who give the best advice, right? Like, you see what I'm saying? There's all different skill sets that make someone special or elite or great, and there's other things that hold people back, right? And so that could be something that we just learn from Caleb. Maybe it's not that case at all. Maybe it's just where he's at in his football career, in his development. Maybe as time goes on, he will be able to overcome a bad O-line. He will be able to overcome any of these other issues. We just don't know. Again, look at Sam Darnold in New York and in Carolina versus with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota Vikings. It's night and day. Like Collinsworth said in the last game with Sam Darnold going up against the Colts, he was just laughing. He goes, Sam Darnold finally looks like that, the second or third overall pick in the NFL draft all those years ago, right? It's like we finally see why you were drafted so high. We didn't see it before, but we see it now, right? And it was because he was in a bad situation with bad players, bad management, bad. He needed to also be developed more. He needed to be in a better situation. etc., etc., etc. And again, it's not clear where Caleb will fall. People are so quick to be so confident with their judgment on all of this, right? To be Caleb Williams is clearly blank. He's clearly amazing. He's clearly awful. Give him an O-line, and he'll be the best quarterback in the world. He has no O-line. He can't overcome it. Clearly, that means he's not good enough, right? Like, everyone is so quick to reach these conclusions, and I just don't think it's fair. I made a video previously kind of discussing that more about this whole idea of kind of jumping to these conclusions. I like to talk about what we see today and what's the possibilities of where we can go. And then again, use examples that kind of that either prove or disprove this case, you know? And that's the lens that I'm honestly looking at all of this through. And that's why I don't know if it's really helpful to compare Jaden Daniels to Caleb Williams, just because they were in the same draft class. I get why we do it, right? They're drafted, they're both rookies, it's both their first year. And so if we were trying to somehow equalize comparisons, this is technically the best way to do it, but it also fundamentally doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just think of school. Think of elementary school, middle school, high school, whatever, right? Not everyone is equal. How many people did you go to school with who you were like, man, that guy has nothing going on, only for them to be really successful? Or have other people that were really smart, getting good grades, only to have it completely crash and burn on them? Just because you're in the same grade, just because you're the same age, just because you're both rookies, just because you were drafted at the same time, it doesn't mean that you're going to progress or have the same rate of success or have the same level of success at the same time. So it's, again, Jaden Daniels is balling out and been playing great, and we don't have to unpack any of the reasons why, but it does technically really become largely irrelevant. It really does. It actually fundamentally doesn't matter. I get why we do it for the sake of sports talk, right? Because it's fun. Jaden Daniels was number 2. Caleb was number 1. Let's compare them. It's something to discuss. But the reality is, why are we comparing Caleb Williams to, I don't know, another rookie that started 2 years ago? What about that rookie year for John Washington, right? They were both rookies. Let's compare. How well did he do, right? What about Josh Allen? What about Joe Burrow? What about, like, it doesn't, what about a third-year player? A third-year player who didn't really get a lot of starts in the beginning, and actually he didn't really start at all, and now he's playing, right? Like, what did Kirk Cousins look like his rookie year? What did he look like his second or third year, right? Like, so it's just this direct comparison. It's good TV. It's interesting conversation. It's fun. I enjoy it to a degree, but also it can also largely be unhelpful and useless. Seriously, it's useless to be like, look at Caleb, 61.4 completion percentage. Look at Jaden Daniels, 71.5 completion percentage. That data is actually useless. It does not matter. Truly, I swear, it really, really does not matter. It does not tell us anything about Caleb, and you can make the argument it tells us something about Jaden of where he is as a quarterback right now in the NFL, but in no way does it prove anything about Caleb. It shows us that Caleb maybe needs to work on things. It highlights some of his deficits, right? But it could also highlight some of his strengths as well, right? Maybe put a lesser quarterback in this situation, and they would do even worse. They would have a 50% completion percentage, right? Again, we don't actually really know that answer, but it's certainly possible. So yeah, I don't know. It's all interesting. I just really wanted to highlight what Greg Cosell had to say, because I think when you're at this stage in your career, being a rookie, you deserve the benefit of the doubt for being in a less than ideal situation. As you get older, as you get more experienced, the excuses run thin, right? That's where you can say, hey, Dak Prescott, what are you doing? Even CJ Stroud, it's his second year, although I still think he deserves grace. You could be like, hey, come on, we think you're really good. Improve this. Jordan Love, and I'm specifically using like younger quarterbacks to a degree, although I know Dak is at this point a little bit older, right? And I'm purposely leaving out a Patrick Mahomes or even a Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, because like they've already established themselves as the true bona fide next level players, right? And even them, even those guys are still imperfect in these types of situations. They clearly struggle if they don't have a good O-line, right? Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes this year doesn't have weapons, and look, his numbers have gone down, right? So it's like even those guys aren't always successful. But we can probably be pretty confident that when they were rookies, right? If they were really in a really less than ideal situation, even those guys would struggle. We saw Josh Allen struggle very early on his career. So, yeah, I don't know. All interesting to me, quite frankly. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Caleb Williams and his inability to overcome a less than ideal situation at this point in his career? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.